Hello everybody, my name is Jérôme Bezet Torres. I'm Microsoft MVP for 3 years. I'm Microsoft certified trainer last 10 years. I'm also VMware the expert. You can contact me on network, on Twitter, on my blog. And today we are speaking about modern deployment, about MDT, PowerShell extension for MDT, and OSD Cloud. Now we are start for the first cut, and now we are start for the first part. MDT and PowerShell extension for MDT. What is this solution? We can compare MDT and PSD. What is the principal difference? MDT, you can make deployment share. The engine is VBS, WSF. You can use the SMB share for the deployment share, and it's free. PowerShell extension for MDT, aka PSD, was a free solution also too, and we can create a deployment share. The engine is only PowerShell, and the big improvement, we can use HTTP or HTTPS for the deployment share. Also, we can support driver as WIM format, and we can benefit and use support P2P and branch cache. How to start with PSD? The first thing, the solution is free. You can find it, the release on GitHub Friends of MDT. We have the documentation. On the documentation, we can use this step. The first step is install PSD. You can install it on server, old version, since 2016 to 2022 Windows. You can use ADK 24 to ADK for Windows 11. You can install, and you must install MDT, and already PSD support only English version. Only for server, all versions are supported, and for client, we can use since Windows 10 Pro Education on Enterprise to Windows 11 22H2 Pro Education and Enterprise. Which step do you use or test or implement to set up a correct PSD? First step, if you want to benefit and to use P2P, branch cache, and other, or HTTPS, you need to install Internet services. Configuration, you must install a CA, certificate, WebDAV, and configuration. I recommend to read all the documentation on the GitHub repository. Then you can install branch cache. In branch cache, when you install Microsoft Development Toolkit, you need to import your OS, like MDT, and now you need to create a test sequence. There is 2 templates, one template for server and one template for client. I recommend you to use the client for client and server for server. PSD test sequence is very small compared to MDT test sequence. Here, the first sample. There is only this few steps, only in production. If you want to use branch cache, you need to add some additional step. You can add a folder to open software, set branch cache, enable branch cache, set the SMSTS donor programmer for branch cache, and when the operating system when installed, you need to move the branch cache to the folder on the hard disk drive for the system. When you need this, you need to configure two files, Bootstrap and custom settings. All this thing is very simple, and now it's time to have the demo time. In this demo, I'm on my MDT server. I don't have a Active Directory since I create a DNS zone, gmdk.loc, my name, PSD, and my network IP. Now, on this server, I have DNS, I have internet services, my PSD. You can look here, sites, default sites, my MDT production. My MDT production, you can have all the files as you can. But here, review all the things and all the things here. We can view on my MDT folder and share folder, we have some new content and new folder. Here, PSD resource. There are some additional things in this PSD resource. You can add autopilot info. Now it's not supported. You can have BG info. This is used during the task sequence. Branding, the background of PSD. Certificate, my server. Custom script, if you can add some. Driver, I don't have driver source. Plugin, on plugin there is, for me, OSD toolkit, because I want to use branch cache, and OSD toolkit is the tools to enable branch cache on WinPower and on the install .win. The press start menu for PSD, and user exit script if you want to add some custom script on exit like MDT. Now we have opened my MDT, my deployment share. I have Windows Home 11, and task sequence, festival calendar, Windows 11, and Windows Dev. If you look here, task sequence, we have task sequence with branch cache enabled. There is some step. All these steps are described in the documentation. And here, only the task sequence by default. If you want to look the engine of PSD, you need to open here, MDT production, scripts, and here you can see all the scripts used during the PSD. The main script is PSD start. And the scripts call all the other during the deployment. Now I can review my properties, my rules. On PSD, you need to recommend only use AMD64 platform. Rules, here are my rules. Yes, you can see the first step, priority, and all default property. On default, install yes. Here is the settings for the new PSD default interface. Here my demo, JMDK 69 OSD toolkit. You don't use this setting, this is for login. You can set up time zone, keyboard local, UI language, system language, and all the things. If you want to use branch cache, you need to enable in custom settings, like this. With branch cache enable, yes. The software program download, you need to use its ACP. And to recognize which image is used for the branch cache, you need to use the OSD toolkit image name. This image name needs to be the same like here, like this name. If you want to have this name, you need to click properties and click copy. Here, rules and paste. If you have a two-pin turbo license for OSD toolkit, you need to put here. I don't have this one. I have one in trial mode, but it's expired. But I have recorded a little demo and I can show you how it's incredible speed. Here are my custom settings that I need to edit my bootstrap. Here I have PSD boot with HTTPS, PSD, JMDK 69.log and data production. My account, password, and user domain. PSD starts native, keyboard, and language. Same, you need to update your deployment share. I already update my deployment share. In this demo, I don't use Windows deployment services to put because it's not very useful today, and I prefer to use Tiny PXE. It's a little Tiny PXE server. What is this? It's a free ePXE server that you can use to boot on HTTP. In my settings, I need to set up HTTP on port 8080 because my internet services listen on the default port for HTTP. And here there is some file name. All the things are here. For ePXE server, you need to have this thing. One, the main application and the config file. The config file is here. We find start DHCP it included DHCP. Bind is bind of all ports and all settings. You can find all settings here, and settings you can match here. In function of DHCP request by client, you need to determine architecture like EPXE, and then you need to send the file we need to boot. And here in file, we can find all the files necessary to boot. We have two options, one with menu and one without menu. And here we use the Wimboot. Wimboot is a availability to boot on boot.wim directly from HTTP. If you look the file here is the menu to EPXE files. The EPXE file sets the boot URL. The boot URL is a HTTP. The next server is a server address on the port. You can find here the line to find architecture, and in function of architecture, you need to boot kernel and Intuit BCD boot, boot SDI, and boot PowerWin map to boot PowerWin. And finally, boot. This is the first thing. And the second with menu is the same. You can close it, but you can add many things. We can add console pictures and some information. But all the things are the same. We can find folder to find all the things. Here I have 3 Wimboot entry. Wimboot HTTP for PSD, MDT. Oh, OSD Cloud. Yes, it's working too. And here all the things. By default is boot menu with menu is enabled. If I enable my VM, this solution works fine because it works and is very simple. But today I need to use 2 PXE software anywhere from 2P software. I have a trial license of the 2 EPXE server. I see my 2PXE server. I will log out on some after the Christmas on configuration. My server is up, and now I need to start my first client. Here we go. I have 2 entries, one for my PSD server and other for OSD Cloud. I need to use my first. And here, my clients download from my PSD server the boot.trim and connect and boot to my. I need to make the same for the second server. I just need to tweak some air to up here. Here we go. And look, I download the file from HTTPS. And here PSD U is very useful. I need to rate PSD and all the steps running logal together, find all information about my VM, PSD pre-start, here the pre-start menu can show all the disk, wipe all the disk, show network, setting network, Dart tools. If you have Dart tools installed on your MDT and you put it in PSD, I don't have them. I need to press C to continue. And yeah, we need to have the result. Yes, the first launch too. There we go. Welcome to the deployment result. Let's see up for GM2K69 OSD Cloud toolkits. You can find all the things. Next, you can find my task sequences. I choose Windows there with branch cache. Here the name. I don't have anything to set. Here, I think looks good. With a summary and go. In this demo, we use OSD toolkit branch cache. We enable branch cache. Validate network. Here. I need to set up password. I need to wait a little. Yes. Here we have some information. The first is we need to find the install doctrine from the server with the speed here, and we have from peers, and there is no peers actually. If I start my first and my second client, create partition, in virtual environments, the speed is lower than in real and physical environment because branch cache is limited with virtual machine. Look here, and here we can find and you find source from the other peers. Yes, we find the source from the other VM and not from the server. Only this VM take the install.vim from server and the other take from the second VM and not from the server at the same speed. It's very impressive. In this demo, we have used PSD to implement OSD Toolkit, branch cache, and modern deployment. And the speed is the same on the two server or client. Okay, now we are speaking about the part 2, OSD Cloud. OSD Cloud. The solution OSD Cloud is a PowerShell module created by David Sekera. There is a team created by David. It contains some MVP and other contributors. We can find Damien Van Robe, Gary Block, Mike Marab, Dean Ellery, Doug McGee, and me. How to use this solution to deploy server, client without any infrastructure. Serverless. OSD Cloud. There is some step, and you need to detail all the steps. The first step is to create a new OSD Cloud template. So you need to use the ADK winPO.trim and we create a specialize with language, parameters, and settings for all the current system. When we create your template, you need to create workspace with the new OSD Cloud workspace. The new OSD Cloud workspace, you can create different workspace with different settings. One for production, one for development, and other for some tests with different configuration. Cloud driver, wallpapers, and some other stuff. When you did this, for each cloud workspace, you can create a media for boot. This media can be USB. You can use the boot.trim you can use image either, and then you can choose your solution to boot, PXE to ePXE or ePXE in your environment. When you have this way, you can choose your way to deploy your solution. You can use OSD Cloud GUI in order to selection your image, or you can use OSD Cloud CLI, and if you want more control, you can use Azure OSD Cloud from Azure. What are the difference between the three solutions? OSD Cloud GUI and OSD Cloud CLI use the same sources, Windows Update for images. In this way, you can only deploy the version that Microsoft offers. If you want to have some control of your infrastructure and your version of your system, you can use OSD Cloud Azure to put on your OSD Cloud tenant the version of your system d'exploitation you want to deploy. When you have this, you have on the best way to have a successful deployment. Now, if you want to look about OSD Cloud in some numbers, what are the characteristics of OSD Cloud? OSD Cloud is only less 300 module. It's very less, but with only this command, you can deploy and make everything with your OS deployment. Other statistic, since October the 20th, have been more than 22,000 deployments using OSD Cloud. There is some repetition. Already, all solution or all person who use OSD Cloud use OSD Cloud CLI, OSD Cloud GUI, and OSD Cloud from Azure. Now, we have in summary what you do with OSD Cloud, and now it's time to make the demo time. Yes, now we have created your first OSD Cloud template with language French, set all international language to French, and input keyboard to French. The template load ADK WinPair.trim mount and add all package from ADK. First in a English language, and then we can add some French language. All package are install, mount, and add to the WinPair and to my template. The image will save. That's good. And now we add my French language. And we need to add all the same language pack for all the package installed from the WinPair.trim. Again to save, set the default, and save the image. enable PowerShell gallery, and save and dismount the image. Yes, now, when the dismount is effective, we can make some other thing. We can create a workspace. At the finish, the function creates two images, one with prompt and other with no prompt. Now I decide to create my workspace, Festival Tech Calendar. I need to verify my workspace. Yes. Now for the first demo, I use my images I've created for the Festival Calendar in virtual machine. I boot from here, and yeah, here we go. I personalize my wallpaper, Christmas wallpaper, and I have the function to start, hardware device, networking, PowerShell module, and yes, now we can start with the Cloud GUI. I tap Start, PowerShell, I make my screen bigger, set distress, yes, go. Now I can start OSD Cloud GUI. I can make brand and Festival Tech Calendar. Here we go. Yes, OSD Cloud GUI on VMware. Festival Tech Calendar. You can see all the system. I choose Windows 11 22H2. I choose language, version. You can view here the option, clear disk and other, Microsoft update. I remove all selected things, and now I can click on Start. When I click on Start here, the GUI is closed, and now the OSD Cloud CLI is running. It is the same part. I need to start OSD Cloud. I don't remove the flag to have no question to clear the disk. And here, the download. We can see the download is from Windows update.com. I have Dart installed, then I can launch Explorer, and here you can look all the things, all the partition, and on OSD Cloud you can see log or log file, my file and all my screenshots during the steps. So the node is processing. I don't have a great bandwidth on my internet, but it's enough at home. And yes, so the node is quite finished. OSD Cloud validates image index. We have all the thing. I find a OSD file download from Microsoft server. If I look on Explorer 2, you can see OSD Cloud logs my OSD file and all screenshots. It's useful when you want to make some troubleshooting on OSD Cloud because it's take a snapshot of your screen in some interval. Now, the operation of applying my operating system, edition, driver, I don't remove driver. And here, adjust all driver for my virtual machine. At the end, we need to update OSD Cloud module and save all the thing on system. And my VM is restarting. Here we go, Windows 11. Now, if you want to customize, you can press Shift and F10. And here I use some PowerShell function and OSD Cloud function to personalize my Windows 11 in OOBE phase. I need to invoke expression of invest method function to .osdcloud.com. This thing load all function to personalize your Windows 11 or Windows 10. The third thing is to add functionality or capability if you want. Hey, we can add some language. You can make some filters. For example, if you want to search an US, here we go. You can install what you want. Now I want to install framework 3.5 on Windows. For this, we have a function, netfx. We can remove application for all users. I need to remove gaming and Xbox application to search. Not here. Yes, here. Xbox, and I remove my phone and the video and music and Windows 10. And here, all these applications will be removed for all users. It's very useful to create your own Windows 11 distribution. Now I need to connect. I need more. I did a speed to my video because it's not important to say all settings and experience, advertising, Windows Update, the first screen. And now we need just to verify, see all seems good. Application, looks good. I don't have Teams and I don't have Windows. Very good. Now about control and functionality. And yes, and now for the last demo, we can use the same workplace and the same image to create and to use Azure. How to use Azure with OSD Cloud. My VM is boot up. We can look, there is the same thing and the same configuration like the precedent demo. The same image ISO, but we don't start OSD Cloud GUI, but OSD Cloud Azure. Yes, I need to start PowerShell. I make my screen bigger. Okay. Yes, it's greater. And now start OSD Cloud Azure. And here the script is installed and trust PowerShell gallery and all module for OSD Cloud. Azure AD, account, kvote, resource, storage, Microsoft Graph, and we need to connect to OSD Cloud Azure. Here the important things, we have to use the device connecting. You need to open Microsoft.com device login and enter the same code. Validate, login, yes, continue, and now we are connecting to OSD Cloud. You can find all resources for OSD Cloud on storage account. And yes, OSD Cloud Azure, OSD Cloud Storage, my storage account for OSD Cloud. The container will contain my file image wheel. I have a Windows Insider. Woo! And we can choose, like OSD Cloud, all driver. I choose none in my case. Clear this confirmation skip, restart, and I remove all driver. And go. There is no multiple configuration. And this, look, I download a blob file from Azure in my Windows and on my VM. When you choose Azure OSD Cloud with Azure, we have the entire way to control the version of Windows you want to deploy. You are now constrained to use the latest Windows with your fix, your drivers, and all the things are included on your imagery, and you can make which you want and as you want. With Explorer, you can find all the information on OSD Cloud. Thank you for watching, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year!